Hello, hello. Okay, let me again. I'm just gonna have to check and make sure I'm live. It says I'm live. Uh,
Hello, hello.
okay, a little loud.
Okay.
Um, Welcome back to Mental Health Monday. We're kicking another day off with more of an idea of thinking. But again, before we start, let me just kind of say and state that I am not a mental health professional by any means. I'm currently in my master's to gain my master's in clinical counseling, so I will be a professional one day. And yeah, so that's just what I'm working towards right now. I know I mentioned it before. I think I mentioned it last week, but I'm not sure. I did get the internship spot, so I did get accepted into that. So that's fantastic. It's a place that, no, yeah, no, I talked about last time. But so if you're interested in that, go watch my last video. But yeah, so thanks for watching. Thanks for hopping in. Today we are talking about existentialism and what that kind of is, how it's embodied, what the ideas of it are, and it's kind of just explaining a little bit. But yeah, so I just want to read one of my favorite. Oh, sorry, like philosophers, existentialists, Jean Paul Sartre. Um, it says, if you're lonely when you're alone, you're in bad company. And I really like that because out of your entire life, the person you spend the most time is with yourself. And I think being in bad company with yourself means that there is some disconnect. There's not a love for oneself, and that can be really hard and difficult. And I think a lot of us have that disconnect, especially when it comes to mental health as well. And just kind of learning to love to live with yourself and learning to be with yourself constantly and just really kind of growing with yourself, um because again, you spend the most time, that's the person you spend the most time with is yourself. So if you don't have that love or that relationship with yourself, then it's going to be a very very long life. So but yeah, so basically, existentialism really talks about the kind of deep seated um, questions that have to do with life and death, grief and loss, what the meaning of life is, and what it kind of has to offer. And I think there are a lot of people you can look up when it comes to existentialist theory because it has to do a lot more with philosophy based. Um, but kind of continue on, I like to look at my clinical experience and judgment and perspective from a psychoanalytical existential um, lens. So I really like to kind of think and really reflect on what it means to us, what it means to our lives, what it means to our morals compared to what our values are, and just really questioning yourself and understanding who you are, what your being is, and like what's your drives are really important when it comes to kind of mental health, because it just, again, you strengthen that connection with yourself of who you are, who you be, and you end up with a stronger sense of identity. Existential really talks about the meaning of life. Everyone always asks, "What's the meaning of life? Is there a meaning of life?" And I've always said, and I always believe that everyone's asking that question wrong. And in kind of the quote that I mentioned before, um, it's not so much about what is the meaning of life, it's more about what's the meaning of your life and what do you want out of it? What do you want out of your experience of this time on this planet? And whatever religion you may believe in, um, you still have this finite time on this planet regardless. And it's kind of what you do with that and what you believe and what you want to get from this experience that is life. And allowing to kind of utilize existentialism in my frame of clinical counseling and my clinical experience, it allows me to really kind of help broaden other people's perspectives in the sense that maybe something that is so anxiety provoking or something that may seem like it's a life or death situation when in reality it's not. Kind of just really taking a step back and realizing that some things may not be as big as they are or as meaningful as they are. I remember when people in high school would constantly brag about certain grades and stuff that they got, of course wanting to do good, but they would like go it down to like the point whatever, like the 10th or 100th decimal. And I just remember like thinking to myself way back in my high school career when I didn't even know about what field and stuff I was going to, was that this won't matter in 5 years. This test, this thing, and that's not kind of a green light to kind of not try or give up or do some stuff like that. You should still work towards your goals because again, with existentialism, it's not just oh nothing matters, so why shouldn't I try? It's nothing matters, so I should definitely do what I want. Get what I want from this life and do it on my terms and do what I can to get at receive or gain or succeed in any way I see uh, or believe in. So it's really important thing to kind of remember that existentialism can kind of sometimes be tied in with like a negative aspect of not really like needing to care or some things it can kind of align with nihilism in a way like nothing matters, but it depends how you look at it. But that's another um, another topic. We're talking about existentialism and some people who kind of brought it to life. So it's more of a philosophy based technique and therapy, and it's kind of difficult to understand. You can't do it really with everyone, just because a lot of people struggle or can't even think that way, and that's perfectly fine. Some people just aren't able to grasp concepts the way others are, and so when I'm kind of utilizing this in my practice, I should say, um, I know that I can't ask like super deep questions right off the bat because they'll be like, "What the hell is this guy talking about?" Like, I don't have time to be thinking this way or anything, but just simple things and integrating it into certain practices, such as my internship, maybe talking about um, a newfound love for a mother that who's having a child and not having have had that experience or being able to now have that experience is really kind of changes her perspective on life or their perspective on life and what it has to offer. And this in itself is also a form of existentialism because you're talking about life and what they're gaining from it and where their morals and values lie and how they change and how we adapt as humans. And it's just a really interesting thing to see because I'm able to explore that. As counselors, we don't push any of our values or perspectives or anything on that. We try to share and broaden our clients' perspective and scope of what they believe to be is true and what they know, and just give them all the resources we can to kind of help expand their perspective. But in no way, shape, or form are we trying to kind of change like their perspective to align more with what we believe. And we're never supposed to do like push our values or anything. And that makes sense because we're not here to cure you. We're not here to fix you. We're here to be a fresh set of eyes to a problem that you may be having in your life. And what we can do is just walk next to you with this problem and walk with you through the problems that you have and kind of just offer not advice but different different ways of thinking, offer different perspectives. And sometimes we need that outside entity to kind of help us with what we're seeing because again with what's going on in our life, it's something that we kind of accept and what we believe to be is going on. So that's just a kind of heavy topic. And again, like I said, with existentialism, you can really tie it into so many different things. That's not really a therapy that most people like specialize in because it's so like philosophical based, and it's like not something that really has like a significant amount of like clinical like what's the research and stuff done in it. Like it's a very supplemental way of thinking with the philosophy based kind of treatment or therapy. you really want to kind of couple it with something. And I think psychoanalytical, it combines one another because psychoanalytic looks at your past, what you've gone through, what how that shaped who you are. Sometimes it shapes us in not so pleasing or not so positive ways that we want to change about ourselves. And using the existential aspect or frame of mind, we're able to kind of dive into who we are, where our values stemmed from when with whatever we went through as children and our experiences in our past. And with the philosophy base, we're able to ask the question as to why are do we like this way of thinking? Do we like this way of value? Do we like the values that we hold dear to our heart? And really ask this question and really explore what we want from it, what we believe, what we want to gain from it, and just kind of go from there. And that's a good way, again, like how I supplement. It's a very supplemental in my eyes. There may be some people who specialize in it. I'm not too sure. It's not somebody I really ever heard of. Just because it doesn't have a lot of like research and kind of backing it essentially, like other techniques like CBT, REBT, EMDR, just like a lot of that. And but it also helps because I've always enjoyed philosophy. Philosophy has always been something I've been interested in, just because it had to do with a lot of deep and sometimes dark questions, and it just allows you to, again, explore different parts of your mind. And part of me, especially with my mind, I love exploring new things that I have no idea. Even if I don't think it would be something I would want to do, I would still want the experience to know that it's something that I didn't like to do. And that is a value that I hold dear to my person, my entity, and who I am. And I just want to experience as much as I can while I have this time on this planet. And I just think it's a very, again, that's a very existential way of thinking, but I can usually figure out a way to tie it to clients and people just when they have certain frames of mind. And I use it as kind of not so much a backbone, but again, like a supplemental aspect of it that allows me to kind of show others a different way of thinking when it comes to anxiety. That way of thinking kind of helps. So someone may be super anxiety stricken for a test, and just thinking about the entire not the entirety of the universe, but just a different way of meaning. And yes, it's, of course, it makes sense to want to get good grades on your tests. Of course, good grades can lead to positive futures, but um a singular test will not derail your entire future if you have enough drive, or if you have enough passion to continue on or go past that. One test will not define you or who you are. And usually someone who's maybe anxiety stricken with that, this way of thinking, this existential frame of mind is can be a beneficial way to help them um, deconstruct their feelings and emotions as to why what's driving them to kind of feel this way. And again, it's not like a cure or anything. It's not going to like fix them. They can get anxiety stricken for the next one, but there are certain techniques and like things you can do to kind of really like ground yourself and really think about it through, and allow you to help yourself, your emotion, your behavior, your feelings to kind of calm down, get back to a baseline about um, where you want to get to. And but yeah, so not too in depth today. I'm reading a book right now by Jean Paul Sartre, and it's called God is Dead, and I love it so far. um, Maybe I'll start reviewing books or something, I don't know. But yeah, so it's a really good book so far. A lot of philosophers back then were very pretentious, and I think it's something me and my buddy Colin from class always joke about it because he's also very into philosophy, and they were kind of pompous, and they really thought highly of themselves, but just some of the words that they used back then was just so funny, especially like in the book. I usually have to read it a few times and use context clues with a lot of words just because there was just no need for that word to be right there. But um, If you like philosophy, I don't. Again, it depends what area of philosophy you like. I would recommend it. Jean Paul Sartre, JeanPaulSartre. He has a lot of good work, a lot of good ways of thinking about the universe that we call home. And yeah, that's just a book that I'm enjoying right now. I'm reading it, and there's just a lot. I don't even know how to fully describe it yet. There's so much. There's so much to talk about, but I guess the main theme is kind of just talking about religion and what it has to do. And oddly enough, um, the more I read, the more information I gain. I have a lot of beliefs very close and correlated to Buddhism, which is I think is kind of funny. Yeah, I don't. I've just been realizing that as I've learned and kind of expanded my knowledge when it comes to like religion and stuff, and a lot of my readings, I've come to realize I have a lot of kind of value and morals when it comes to that kind of stuff that kind of align with Buddhism in a way, which I think that's just neat. I mean, I'll learn more about myself every single day. But yeah, so that's just kind of something that I've realized as I began more reading. So yeah, if I want to thank you guys for watching. I hope this was kind of beneficial and helped you kind of expand your knowledge a little bit more. Or it might have just been boring to watch and you might have not even cared of it at all. And that's perfectly fine too. But I thank you for tuning in. I thank you for watching these Mental Health Mondays. And appreciate you taking the time to do something to kind of help with your mental health. Your mental health will thank you in the long run, I promise. But yeah, I just want to thank you again for watching. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. Watch out for other videos that I post throughout the week. And yeah, make sure you subscribe so you can kind of tune in every single Monday and watch these Mental Health Mondays. And who knows, maybe if this gets big enough, I'll maybe create some merch for Mental Health Monday. I think that'd be really interesting, and seeing who would really want to kind of support that. But yeah, thanks for watching. I will catch you guys next Monday. See ya.